Alright guys, today we have some more early gameplay from Monster Energy Supercross 4. This is going to be a video kind of going over the whips, the scrubs, the free physics in the game. Just kind of showing you, I know I never typically whip very much in motocross games, supercross games, just dirt bike games in general. I don't whip or scrub very often. It's not my favorite. Okay. I love it, but it's not the part of the game that I feel like is the most important. I know some of you guys feel differently, which is fine, but for me, it's just really fun to ride the track and master the best lines around the track, the big lines around the track. Like, that's the funnest part, the most fun part for me. So typically, the whipping, I don't really care too much, but I do agree that we do still have kind of a canned whip here. We still don't really have the free whip. Now, the physics are a bit more free in Supercross 3. We already started getting it a tiny bit. It's pretty much the same here. It is a bit different. I will show you some of the free movement of the bike. And we do have free movement of the bike and rider. It's not like you can't move the bike freely in the air. We kind of did there over the finish line a bit, but the whip, okay. So the whip is still kind of a push button, unfortunately. Same with the scrub. Now, we do get a pretty sweet small scrub at Oakland. And the gameplay you're going to see is just going to be on a bunch of different tracks in the game. But it's the same mechanics it has been since MXGP2, where you push the sticks together, pull them apart, and they whip in whatever direction you're trying to whip in. And typically, I like whipping to the right. No matter what, it's what feels right to me. It feels weird. It's probably because I don't do it very often, but if I whip to the left, it feels and it looks weird to me. I don't know why, it just does, but that's beside the point. There's a bunch of jumps, I didn't do like a whip everything challenge or anything, because there's a bunch of jumps, it just doesn't feel right to whip off of it. There's a bunch of triples and stuff where the jump is really flat and it just doesn't feel right to whip off of it. But I was trying to show it off the best I could, and you can manipulate the whip even if it is a bit push buttony. You can move the thumbstick forward or backwards, so the whip will be, they won't put the bike as flat when you're trying to whip. The bike will stay more straight up and down, so you can manipulate it to some degree. Remember MXGP2? That's where we first saw the push the sticks together, pull them apart whip. It was different there. I mean, you couldn't manipulate it really whatsoever. It was very canned, I guess. And here, I mean, they started to improve their whip in, was it MXGP3 already? Or maybe it was Supercross 1 or 2. I don't remember, but they did improve it and gave us more freedom of how you control the whip. But I don't know. It's like that is Milestone's thing. I don't know. It's like they don't want to give it up, okay? So that's their calling card, I guess, for whip physics in the game, kind of. I mean, you do have some free physics, and you will see that throughout this video, but it's almost like that's what they have, and so they're going to stick with it no matter what. I mean, I don't know. Unless they're thinking that when people ask for a free whip, that they're going to give you more freedom in how you manipulate the bike when you push the thumbsticks together. Unless that's their idea of having a free whip, but that's not what we're asking for. I really would like to see complete free physics where we get rid of the push the sticks together, pull them apart whip. It just, for me, and I don't know the way I move the analog sticks, but sometimes I still get the accidental whip. And sometimes if I'm just trying to throw a whip for no reason, for instance in multiplayer, I'm not really thinking about how I'm gonna make it work or look the best. It's just kind of push the sticks together and you get this really awkward whip animation. So kind of a bummer. I don't know, it feels smooth still. It didn't really feel that awkward. I kind of felt like when I was going to do this video, it was going to be really weird to try and whip during or through rhythm sections, but it really wasn't that bad. And most of the triples and stuff, it works fine. It just doesn't feel practical. And in small rhythm sections like reflex, for instance, you had those free physics, so you can kind of try to scrub a bit in the rhythm sections without it feeling too awkward. And then we do show you some first-person gameplay, and that is where, and I will say it's probably because of the improved first-person camera, but the first person, if you whip and try and scrub and use the free physics, it actually looks pretty sweet. I do show you extended gameplay in first person here from Atlanta because this was also in replay, so it is kind of quiet. We weren't throwing whips and scrubs like this in first person. We were I played in third person and then did replay, so that's how we have this gameplay. But it actually looks okay. It looks a bit stiff, and I feel like where the problem lies is mostly in the return, bringing it back. So when you throw the whip out, and I think I've said this before, but when you throw the whip out, that doesn't look so bad, and you can kind of manipulate it. Okay, it still isn't a complete free whip, but whatever. The animation of bringing it back, sometimes it looks a bit stiff, and it just doesn't feel fluid. You know what I mean? And the best way is, I forget who was telling me, but somebody was telling me how to whip better in Supercross 3, and they're right. When you whip, so you push the sticks together, and then stop it. Stop the whip for just a tiny bit, and then bring it back. That's how you want to whip if you want it to look better. If you do it, you whip and then bring it back right away, it just looks weird. The body kind of does a weird wiggle, I guess. I don't know if it's the body position or what it is about it, but it just doesn't look right. So unfortunately, it is still a very not super free whip. I do feel like it is very similar to Supercross 3, a bit improved. I feel like the free physics, just the moving the bike and rider around in the air, is a bit improved. I feel like there has been some minor changes to it, the animation of his arms and how he kind of brings the handlebars back. I feel like that does look a bit better. The body stays a bit straighter. It just, I don't know. Overall, moving the bike freely in the air feels pretty good. It just, that's probably the best part, or that has the biggest changes. I would say the whip is very similar to Supercross 3. So the free physics is where the more noticeable changes are, and I feel like they're really close. I feel like it's really close. It's just it's not there yet. They would have to get rid of the push button whip. You know what I mean? They'd have to get rid of that to really have the ability to go in the direction of free whips. So I don't know. One suggestion would be that when you free move the bike, sometimes you have to have a pretty big jump, because if you want to move it a lot, the animation of bringing it back, well, not an animation, the process of bringing it back, because it isn't an animation, the process of bringing it back can be a bit slow. So wish they could speed that up a tiny bit. But that's gonna wrap up this video. You guys and girls are absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for the support on the channel lately. It really does mean a lot. And until the next video, take it easy.